Hey guys, welcome back on the channel. So this is Open Gradient. It launched yesterday on base. Look at the volume, 69K. The liquidity is 5K. So this is a printer, especially because it's a 1% pool fee tier. So this is a small position I started yesterday, and I started with $20 worth of liquidity. I'm yielding, as of now, I'm yielding 10%, not even a day, 10% overnight, because I earned these fees, and shortly after I deployed the position, I had already collected 20 something cents out of it. Now, right now the position is yielding really good, and it is growing in value because I have some price appreciation here. But not long ago, actually just before I started recording the video, the position was worth $19. Even then, I would be on a profit because with all the fees that I yielded so far, everything put together, position value plus fees was above of what I initially deposited. So this is to show you the potential of yield farming. And like I told you not long ago, I will link that video down below if you haven't watched it, and at the end of this one on screen. But in any case, guys, this is to show you the potential of yield farming, and also that you can find these opportunities every single day. Now, of course, you gotta do your own research. Don't just ape into something which has a lot of volume to TVL ratio. This is what determines if it's printing. Then the pool fee tier also plays a role. This is 1%, but I can show you even they have many other pools. So what you can do if you want to find these opportunities, and start with a small position like I showed you, $20. You don't have to put a lot of money in it, but they will yield you a lot, at least in the first couple of days. Now once you find these tokens, they don't even need to be trending, as long as they have a lot of volume. And you can find tokens with this type of volume that have been around for over a year. It's not hard. I showed you in other videos how to do that, but if you want me to show it again, let me know in the comments. I'll make a video just for you. So once you find your token, and of course you got to do some research on it, go check the website, go check the Twitter. This one happened to have a big of a following on Twitter, but I'll show you that in a second. So the pool APR here, back when I started farming it, it was at over 16,000% APR. That's how you can yield 10% or more overnight. So like I said, I started this late yesterday. Right now it's 3 p.m. So we're talking about a little over 12, 13 hours of farming the position. But once you find it, for example, I didn't go into this pool with 9% fee tier, although I could. And if I did, I probably would have yielded even more because the APR is much higher. The TVL is lower, but sometimes that can be a good thing, and this is one of those times. So the fee tier here is just off the chart, and of course it's taking advantage of there's a lot of demand for the token. So sometimes the routes for trading this will be sent to this pool. Now the one I'm farming is actually this second one. It's a V3 on Uniswap, 1% fee tier, 5.3k TVL, over 2,600% APR currently. So the APR substantially diminished. Let me show you here the position itself. So I did a mistake here. I should have started with smaller amounts, smaller percentage of OPG. And that is because usually these tokens, even if they're having a lot of hype and there's a lot of people tweeting about them and just talking about them on social media, what tends to happen with these tokens against Ethereum is that they will underperform Ethereum. For example, this pool is very much 50-50 liquidity deployed, but over time you will see that your pool, if you want to yield farm it for a couple of weeks, a month, something like that, you will see that it will substantially start to decrease your Ethereum. And that is because you always get the underperforming token in any given liquidity pool pair. So your Ethereum starts to be sold for, in this case, OPG. So if you are aiming to yield farm it for a longer period of time, of course, start with a small percentage of, in this case, it would be OPG, and have a bigger exposure to Ethereum just to give you more of a leeway. And usually what happens is that the fees that the pool is generating, they will be enough for you to break even if the price keeps going down. But I can give you another example here. And this is another LP that I've been yield farming for a while, and this Defense of the Agents, I did a video about it, and this was yielding just like the pool I showed you with Open Gradient. But you see what happened over time? As DOTA price went down, I get more and more exposure to it because it's the underperforming asset. And against Ethereum in the long term, 99% of the tokens will act exactly the same way. Virtuals did the same exact thing. It doesn't really matter how much talk there is about a token. At some point in time against these blue chips, Ethereum, Solana, Bitcoin, tokens will underperform them, okay? So if you want to avoid that altogether, you can always farm them with a stablecoin liquidity pool. Those also tend to perform really well, but usually a token paired with a native token of the blockchain, the token that is used to pay for the gas fees, that in my experience is where you will find the best performing pools. Just have that in mind, because this position I started with $15 and I had actually to lower my downside after 2-3 weeks because the token was underperforming Ethereum for so much. And as you can see right now, the APR is not that juicy. It's triple digits, yeah, 100 and something %, but it's far away from what it was in the first week, in the first couple of days especially. But let me go back to Open Gradient. I'll show you other pools that have it paired with the stablecoin. So let me copy here. Now let's scroll all the way down to pools, sort this out by pool APR. Actually, this first pool that has over 4,000% APR, it's Open Gradient paired with USDC. But the APR here is very much tied to the pool fee theory. So that's no wonder why this pool is having such high APR. You see the volume to TVL ratio here, it's not even that crazy, but it's the pool fee tier that plays as a joker here. Actually, pool fee tier will always play as a joker. And you can see here, there's actually some people trying to farm this even harder with a 25% pool fee tier. So pay attention always, don't get too caught up with FOMO. If you're trying to trade these newer tokens, sometimes you will see that there's going to be a huge difference on what you're paying and what you're getting. So always review your swaps before committing to it, because you can actually commit to this type of trade. And if you're trying to buy $100 in USDC, you are going to actually only buying $75 because you're paying this extremely high fee. So pay attention to that. But what I'm going to do now actually is lower my exposure to OPG, because like I just said, I know that over time, usually 99% of the tokens, they will underperform against the blue chip, against Ethereum. So if I want to farm it for the long run, if I reduce that exposure, it benefits me in two ways. Number one, my position value will decrease still, but much lower than if I have a 50% exposure to it, versus if I only have 10%. So if I just readjust my ranges to have 10% worth of OPG and 90% worth of Ethereum, my pool value, even if OPG drops a lot really fast, my position value will not take as big of a hit because my exposure to it is not all that much. Having right now a 47% and going forward to have a 60%, a 70% exposure to a depreciating asset, what's going to happen is that I have 10% and then I go 20% and 30%. That exposure will be substantially lower, and hence my pool position value will stay higher over time. That also allows me to earn more yield. And the second thing that will benefit me by having a lower exposure to the token, it's I'm reducing my range, and because of that my APR will go up. So that 2,600% APR, that's what I'm yielding now, but potentially I can yield more with a tighter range. And at the same time, if the price of the token goes up, it outperforms Ethereum, those 10% will be sold, then yes, I will go out of range, but on the upside, and I'm at the profit. So yeah guys, essentially that's it. You don't need to have a lot of capital to start this, and you can see that if you're active and if you're just looking for these opportunities every single day, you can grow your bag actually faster than you think, and without having that much of a risk. I mean, it's much more nerve-wracking to start doing this with thousands of dollars if you don't know what you're doing and if you're just taking your first steps. So yeah guys, that's my take on it. So if you want to find these opportunities, I showed you that in another video, and again I'll link that at the end of this one, but let me show you really fast how you can do it. So you can come here on Dexscreener and try to find the trending tokens for the past 6 or 24 hours. Now then you come here, you find volume and you sort it out by volume, and you will see that most of the times you'll see like these major assets like Aero, Virtual tends to do really well. Look at this volume to liquidity ratio. It's off the charts. It's almost 10x volume to liquidity ratio. And Virtual, even while the price is low, tends to have a lot of volume. So it's an interesting token. It has been operating for, they don't show the age here, but it's a well over 1 year old token. And it's a flagship token when it comes to AI infrastructure on Base. So in that sense, it tends to be one of the safest ones in my opinion. But you just find opportunities here. Open Gradient, as you can see, it's trending here. And actually the pool that it shows, it's not even on Uniswap. PancakeSwap. It's on PancakeSwap, 800k liquidity, 1.8 mil volume. This already gives you an idea, right? So you see that the token is trending, but this pool is not even closely performing to the one I showed you on Uniswap, because that one had a better volume to TVL ratio. So once you find the token, you come here, you select it. Of course, always do your research about it. Go on Twitter, check their website, because this is a really recent launch. And then here you copy the token address so that you know that you're just finding the real deal, right? Also, the liquidity in this case, it's not locked, so that's usually a risk, but you can come down here and see if there's security issues that can give you a hint of something shady happening. Usually if they show that the contract is a proxy, I would avoid that. If the token is mintable or can be frozen, I would also avoid that, depending on the tokens, but generally speaking, right? So this one seems to be quite reliable, but once you find a trending token that has a nice volume to TVL ratio, you copy the address, and then this is on PancakeSwap, right? So if you go here on PancakeSwap, you can even find better yielding pools than that one was. So you come here, you paste the address, you will see that it will list you. Actually, I'm on Solana, so let me turn on all the other networks. So this is on Base. It will list you all of the pools that have the token on Base. Now sorting things out by APR. So actually, let's sort this by TVL. Okay, so this pool, you see there's a lot of liquidity paired with solid tokens. And actually here we have another OPG paired with ETH, $4,200 TVL, volume only 2,000. So this one that doesn't make all that much sense because the TVL is actually higher than the volume. So I'm not sure if PancakeSwap is bugging, but this number doesn't make sense. So this pool I actually would go in, because you see here TVL $2,000, volume $30,000. That's more than 10x. And that makes a lot of sense that those over 10x translates to 3,500% APR, which is actually higher than what I'm getting on Uniswap. So you can also deploy liquidity with the same range in different pools, in different exchanges, see the ones who are performing the best, and then remove the liquidity in underperforming pools, deploy it into another. This is the beauty of DeFi yield farming. We are completely free to move our liquidity whenever we want. Also do note this is a 1% pool fee tier. So of course these pools will print, they just need to have enough volume, which is the case. And there's nothing sketchy about this. This is just taking advantage of the FOMO when something new launches. Just have something in mind about ranges. Don't be too narrow with ranges. Go, I would say, with 50-50 at the very least. If you're planning to yield farm it for the long run, then have a bigger exposure to the blue chip in the pool or to the stable in the pool, something like 70, 80, even 90%, okay? Right now on screen, you'll be able to find the other video that I told you about, where I show you how you can, with a small bag, grow it very fast actually by finding these opportunities at very early stages. So guys, that's about it. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, drop a comment. Take care, keep exploring crypto, and I'll see you in the next one.